Good morning, our beautiful audience. It's another wonderful Saturday morning, the second edition of the Breakfast with Niji show. I'm so excited about this second edition because the first edition was actually a success, and it was successful because of you, our viewers. So, Farmer Adekola Adeniji, how do you feel today as regards this second, edition of the show?
Well, it's one of those things. I'm always normal. It's one of the things we can use to contribute to at least our development. And for a lot of people viewing and the review we'll be getting shows that people really like the show. So, which is good.
Yes, that's actually very, very. In fact, it was very interesting because even when I went through some of the comments after the show, it was really, really captivating, and it was motivating actually to even continue with this. And being the second edition, we expect more people to ask more questions and get ahead with their agricultural journey. So today we will actually be, opening this conversation with, some innovative farming techniques that, farmers in Nigeria can actually adopt to increase productivity and, ensure sustainability on their farms. So with respect to the Nigerian landscape, what, farming techniques will encourage the farmers to adopt to increase productivity on their farm?
There's a lot of farming techniques and a lot of information that people really need to know. Like when you look at the way farming is being done now, we are not getting it 100% right. And it's because the lack of information. And I've been saying people really assume knowledge. The planting population per hectares need to be maintained for you to get the good output of the farm. So that's number one. Then you must adopt the good agricultural practice on either the land preparation, how you prepare the land. So it's very important, right from the land clearing, the land preparations, the way you prepare the land. The way you prepare the land for cassava is different from the way you prepare for maize, different ways you prepare for potato. So we have different aspects of land preparation, which is one of the key things that you must be able to do. Then the fertility of the soil must be known before you can say you want to prepare the soil for a particular product. So those are all those things that you need to. Then the weed management. So the kind of weed management you are going to adopt is very important. So the kind of herbicide you are going to adopt is very important. So those are all those techniques that you really need to know. So on different applications. And when you are comparing using drone system in order to tackle or to manage the weed on the farm or to manage the pest on the farm, all those things have been put together. So it's a good thing that if you adopt a modern technology to actually support and help us to maximize and to actually get a good yield on our farm.
Oh, thank you very much, Fabakola Adeniji. So as you've heard, adopting, modern technology is actually a way to go in, increasing our productivity and yield on the farm. But then, if you look at, I think what you've actually explained is about, maybe big farms and all that. What about maybe a small, maybe a young person that maybe does not have huge capital to even, maybe get a very big land, maybe hectares of land to, farm cassava or maize, but he just wants to get started with something.
So
What can they adopt?
no, they can adopt a good agricultural practice, which is very important. So on the information you need before you start. So what they need to start if they want to start the small acreage for, what's the size of square meter that makes an hectare? They really need to know that. What's the size of planting population? They really need to adopt, or they really need to get before they start. Is it when you want to plant cassava? Is it 15,000 stand per hectare you are looking at, or you are looking at just 12,000 per hectare stand, or you are looking at 10,000 per hectare? So those are the informations that they need to really get and plant accordingly. Because if you don't plant accordingly, it will affect all the products and all the revenue you're supposed to get. And we've been telling the farmer, before you go into a farm, you need to have an optaker. That's information number one. Then you need to know the amount of money you are spending per hectare So you need to know your profit before you even go and till the land for any other thing. Very important.
Wow. Our audience will be, expecting your questions, so we can actually ask Farmer Adeniji. Pending while we get the live question, I will actually be asking him some of the questions that were asked during the last 3 weeks. But I want to ask, how can we actually reduce the cost of operation on the farm to actually maximize profit? Because I believe that every farmer that goes into agriculture wants to make profit.
So we say before you go into farming, there are some unnecessary overhead that you need to reduce. If you don't reduce unnecessary overhead on the farm, all your profit will go. So that's why I was telling you about the size of acreage that you can have before you can call yourself a farmer. So before I can call myself a farmer, it depends on my lifestyle. Is it almost 5 hectares or 10 hectares can I have before I can call myself a farmer? So very important. So how many hectares do you have? If 5 hectares or 10 hectares, so you need to identify and know exactly the kind of hectare you want to, then the kind of crops you want to grow. What kind of crops you are growing? If you have almost 10 hectares, it's not even enough for cassava. But if you have almost 10 hectares, it's too much for you as a single person to grow vegetables because of the maintenance and a lot of overhead on it. So those are all those things you need to know before you go into it. What kind of crops are you planting? So determine the number of acres you are looking at. So what kind of practice do you really want to adopt? Do you want to adopt the drip irrigation system? So in order for you to be able to, so all those things you need to know. What kind of supporting system are you getting in kinds of irrigation? Are you using well? Are you using stream or are you using borehole for you to be able? So you put all the cost of all those your irrigation system, all those things to the cost before you can say, okay, you want to do this. So it's very important. Those are the things you say. People must learn before you go into farming. You cannot just go into farming blindly that you want to go and farm. Farming has gone beyond that. If not, you'll be farming, you are not going to get profits on it.
All right, thank you. Now, if we look at the Nigerian factor with respect to, energy, because we have been having, epileptic power supply and all that. For someone for you as an industrialist, and that you actually champion, let me say, the processing part of the agricultural value chain. How do you, address the challenges that comes with, energy supply? Do you adopt renewable system and all that on your farm, and the costs?
I've worked on different aspects of energy. I've traveled down to Austria to go and meet them where they do biomass and biogas. I've invited them to Nigeria to come and look at some of the waste we have on the farm so that we can turn to renewable energy. I've attended a lot of different seminars on solars in Germany, in US, even in Africa. The last one I went to was in Kenya, which is we are talking about the mini grid, how they can use the mini grid to support the farming system. So I've done a lot when it comes to renewable energy, alternative energy. I've done enough to make sure that anybody getting into farming or processing should be able to adopt and get the proper renewable energy system that can work. Some can work for a small set of processing unit, but some cannot work for like a turnkey project. Some you can use during the daytime, some you cannot use during the night because of the cost involved. So it's better for you now to say, okay, you want to use it during the daytime. So the night time you look for alternative energy. So we call that one hybrid. You can do hybrid system to make sure that you are processing and you are making profit. Because energy is one of the main problems we have when it comes to processing. Like my own, for all the installation I made on the farm, that was supposed to be turning a lot of products. I was supposed to generate job for a lot of thousands of people. But because we install generator, we don't have light. And the cost of diesel is too expensive. So I have to stop, or I have to actually stop the operation up to maybe like a 10% operating capacity because of energy. So look at the cost of what energy is actually putting to our system. It's very important.
Wow, wow, that's a lot. That's a whole lot. Let's also talk about Nigeria today. Currently, there is an ongoing protest And it is actually even peculiar to the agricultural industry because the youths, even the older people, they are all, clamoring about, hunger. And over 63% of Nigerians today, they are multidimensionally poor. They are hungry. Um, how can we actually address this? What do you have to say about this issue of hunger, and how can it be, addressed?
Well, that's a very, very, very good question at this particular time. So when you look at what the government are doing, they are trying. I don't say they are not trying, but they didn't actually put the square peg in a square hole. They don't put the round peg. They are putting the round peg in a square hole. So as a result, we cannot get it solved. So everybody knows that with the food crisis that we're having now, everybody knows. Even I knew from almost 2 years ago that we're going to have it. And the current problem we're having in Nigeria now, I knew that one more than almost 15 years ago. That's why I decided to go back to the farm. The simple thing government can do to make sure that this problem solved, part of this problem is that the insecurity is very high. Then the electricity is actually one of these. But the major cause of this food insecurity is the cost on the simple common thing, which is fuel, and we call it diesel. Even petrol is still manageable, but when you see that the country, the government cannot provide electricity, and the other alternative that keeps the company economy going is diesel, and you now put a lot of money on diesel. So when you look at it, the cost of tractorizing has gone up. Moving product from the farm to the city has gone up. The people who are working on the farm or to process, they are using diesel to run their generator. So look at that three major factors has actually disrupt the food insecurity we are having in the system. If the government can say, okay, bring the cost of diesel even cheaper than the petrol, you see a lot of things will just go down initially because the people who are processing, they don't have light. The alternative they have is generator to run. If the cost of diesel has gone down, for them to be able to work on their factory, if I go to my farm, the cost of buying diesel is very cheap. When you look at other countries, you look at the cost of diesel, they make their diesel green color. So the cost of diesel the farm are using are very cheap and low. So that means if you're a farmer, the diesel you are going to buy is green diesel. And when you buy green diesel, you buy at almost at the subsidized rate. So that's what they've been able to do to make sure that the cost of food actually drop down in other developed country. But when you look at the cost of diesel, yeah, it's too high. And what the diesel sellers or all those things are doing is that they prefer to mix petrol with diesel. They prefer to mix petrol with diesel because the cost of diesel has gone up. The cost of petrol is cheaper. So they mix petrol with diesel. So when you are buying light diesel. And when you buy light diesel, when you use it, it burns faster. So your overhead goes up. So and you have to make money from what you are producing. So you keep on increasing the cost. Like some of the products we are selling for 5,000, 10,000, go as far as almost 80,000 naira because the cost of diesel has gone up. Look at the tractor we are buying and we are selling for almost 7 million, 5 million, has gone to almost 40 million now. So you look at a lot of things that government can do. Make sure you work on the ports to make sure that all the duties that you're supposed to implement to make sure that the cost of farming comes down, you do it. Make sure that the cost of diesel comes down. It's not just general fuel. Diesel particularly is what driving the economy. It's not the petrol. Diesel is what driving the economy. The government should make sure that the cost of diesel come down immediately. Immediately the cost of diesel come down immediately, everything will come down. So they should look at the factor behind it. The diesel cannot go up to almost 140. Like my farm, I buy diesel for almost 140 on the farm. So I need to do garri, I need to do fufu, I need to do starch, I need to do flour, I need to do yam flour, I need to process animal feed. So look at the cost of I'm buying for almost 140,000, 1,400 per litre. So I need to put all the cost on the product. So the vehicle will take it from the farm to the city at almost 1,400 to the city per litre. So all those costs need to get there. My tractor need to go to the farm at the cost of 1,400 to go and plow. I need to put all those costs. That's what makes all the food crisis and everything go up. And when you look at the part of this country, you look at the government supposed to do a massive land development, land clearing. Like some of my farm, when I noticed that there's a lot of crisis on the ground, I release some of my clear land for farmers. If you on 2 locations, if you know the number of farmers that actually the land is not even enough for them to farm. So genuinely, you see a lot of the young and the old people really want to farm. But the vegetation is too thick, apart from even the insecurity. But the little place, I was able to clear thousands of hectares. I distributed for some of them to farm. I used the other one on my farm. They've covered everything. People genuinely, they want to farm. But the government need to do land development, especially this area. And when you look at some of the implement on the farm, we don't really have implements. We don't have. So those are the area the government is supposed to support, not just giving someone to buy almost 2,000 tractors. This, that. Look at the local government. What did they need? What kind of common tractor are they used to? Did they used to, so that they can use that one to feed them? Don't generalize that the government should buy almost 10,000 tractors, must be uniform tractors, and you distribute it to almost all Nigeria. No, let each of them think of the kind of implement and everything they can support system for them to buy. So, and they can use to solve their own problem. Do a town hall meeting with them, look at what they need. Don't generalize it that what they need from A ward is what they need from B local government. No, it can't work. So thank you.
Farmer Niji has actually said a lot as regards what's going on in the country and how food security can be, achieved and what the government must do. He has talked about, the cost of energy, the diesel. The government should look at ways to actually, look at how to reduce the cost of diesel, because this will, reduce the overhead cost on the farm and, crash the price of agricultural commodities. Okay, we have a question. Good morning, Farmer Kola. You mentioned in your last episode that the training will be available at the end of July. Is it available now, and is it accessible to those in diaspora?
Yes, we are going to send the link and the other useful information on the link so that you can follow for the online classes.
Then the person also asked a second question, that will the training teach us how to obtain NAFDAC number, and does it also address how we can export to the US and Europe?
Yeah, presently we're exporting to US, we're exporting to Europe, we have a NAFDAC. So the training will teach you on every aspect of it. But it's not about the training teaching you alone. It's the training will teach you the kind of equipment you can get before you can be NAFDAC satisfied and before you can get either ALA certification. So the training will take you through all those areas that you need to know, because we export, we import, we have passed through all those and we know exactly what the NAFDAC need for you to scale through, and depends on the kind of products you are processing. So very important.
So we'll make sure that Farmer Niji will make sure that during the training session he addresses all those aspects. Then we have another question. Someone says that I'm starting palm oil processing, palm kernel oil and honey production on my farm in Osun State. Can you recommend a plastic company that I can use for packaging these products?
Yes, we can recommend some plastic product or some packaging materials that you can use to package the product. We have a list of people on our list on different packaging materials, and we can link you with some of our sister companies that are into different value chain. So that's not a problem. So we link you up with all you need to know.
Okay. So going on with respect to our discussion on food security and hunger in Nigeria. Now let's look at the urban center, because today urbanization is rapidly increasing. People are migrating to the urban center and all that, and it is even getting congested. And I think food prices in the core urban center is actually exponentially higher than maybe the rural or semi-urban areas. How can you, what do you think the people that are living in this urban area do with respect to farming? Can they practice urban agriculture, and how can they go about it?
There's what we call urban agriculture that they can practice at the back of their house, or they can hang it on different, they can just practice a little. But what the government really needs to do is to make sure that the cost of food really comes down. So someone cannot leave work, especially in Lagos, someone cannot go to work around 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, come back around 11 o'clock and say the person should come and practice urban agriculture. Urban agriculture is not meant for everybody. Urban agriculture is meant for people who have flexible time, that they can come to work around 2 o'clock, or they can come to work, they can leave work around 2, get home around 4. So they still have a active period that they can use to play. Those people can practice urban agriculture. For people that leave home in the morning, come back in the evening, they are getting tired already, they have limited time to sleep. So you can't ask everybody to be practicing urban agriculture. What the government is supposed to do is to do the needful to make sure that the food prices and everything comes down, that people can afford the food. When you look at other developed countries, what the government does is that if there's no food, there will be crisis. So what they do first is to make sure that they do all what they can within their means to make sure that they bring the price of food down, that everybody have access to good food. So when you have access to food, at least the problem is almost half solved. So some people can practice urban agriculture, some people don't even have time to practice urban agriculture. Urban agriculture too is not free, it costs money. So when you look at some people who can practice it, we can teach them on how to do urban agriculture and they make money from. Some people who have a plot or plot by the side of their house, they can practice urban agriculture. It's doable. So all those ones we can support them on how to go about it if they really want to. So thank you.
Okay, someone is asking that when is the training coming up and is it at a cost?
Yes, the training is at a cost. When you send a mail to us, they will tell you when the training is coming. It depends on the aspect of training that you really want to go into. So the training comes at a cost. When you send us an email, we tell you exactly the cost of per training you are coming on with.
I'm particularly interested about your lecture at Manchester, when you discussed about community farming. Can you give us more insights on community farming?
I went to Manchester just on the diaspora engagement in food security in Nigeria. And what I told them was a lot of people are asking questions that they've invested in Nigeria, they've done this, they've done that, they've done. So I now ask them, who are your partners? Who are you investing on? Is it people that knows the business, or the people that just cajole you that they can do X, Y, Z, and you give them your money and your money went down the drain? So I now advise them that the best thing they can do is to do community farming. Community farming is that they have to work together on that aspect, put the resources together, and look either for consultancy or someone that has been doing it before that can actually invest with and grow it with, and they should be able to develop the market at the other end. So the people will be at the downstream, the people at the upper stream. So the two of them will now work together to make sure that what we are trying to do now is either vegetables or cassava, or you want to process. So I've told them that individual cannot be coming down to Nigeria to say they want to invest. You've left Nigeria for more than almost 20, 30 years, some even 15 years. Even if you've left Nigeria for 1 year, it's a new place already when you are coming back. So you need to work with people who are doing things in Nigeria and you now want to partner with, and you have to have each of the stages on how things are being done. Don't just take all your money, all your million, and give it to someone to say, he promised you that you can get almost 50%. Anybody that promised you 50% return on investment in farming is lying. So farming is an unusual business, and there's a projection on how much you can make from farming. Not just how you say 100% return on investment, 50% return on investment. Some we will tell you almost under 3 months or 6 months. They are lying. Nothing like that. So, but people want quick money too. They put in their money, they burn their finger. So that's why I come out with the community farming model will work, or the agri-city model will work. So, or the diaspora city or different area will work. Depends on which one they want to do. So I discuss with them extensively on how they can go about it if they really want to invest in Nigeria and if they want to invest in farming.
All right, someone asked a question. He said, any mentorship program or internship that you can recommend?
Yeah, we do a lot of internship and mentorship programs. You should just tell us which area of farming do you want to go into. So we now recommend the kind of internship program you can do. We have a lot of people on internship. We even have a lot of people on graduate training that when they finish school, they still need to enroll on graduate training So before we can now engage them on what to do. So all those ones are there.
Someone asked a question. Are there any farming organizations or network that you recommend joining that will benefit small scale farmers?
I think for now they have different farming communities that they are around, but I don't know any. Well, I think you have different ones on different this thing, but I don't belong to anyone, so I may not say you join this, but maybe you search online if you can get. But for now, I know there's a lot of farming organizations around. So, but we don't. What we do here is we give you training on what aspect do you really want to go into. So I think we have a lot of them on ground that you can search for, but we don't. We can recommend anyone.
I know you have adopted several technologies, on your various farms. Are there any risk that maybe you faced during those moments where you are maybe installing or during operational, running of the farm that people should be aware of so that they can take note of that and avoid such?
Normally, you have to take risk. If you don't take risk, you yourself are a risk. But you have to take a calculated risk. I'm a risk taker. So if I didn't take risk, I won't be up to this level. Or I won't be where I am. So I take a lot of risk, which is normal. So part of the risk I've been able to take, there are many. So, but I take a calculated risk. When I bought a drone to use, I've never used drone before. I just believe that, okay, I should be able to use the drone should work. So that's part of the risk you take. And when you are using, when I was investing on a different aspect of cassava mechanization, even self-propelled bone sprayer. I've never seen anybody that used self-propelled bone sprayer. I used, it works. So those are all those risks. And so for you to be able to say you want to be in charge, I keep on telling people that the best way to drive our agricultural system is for each of us to be a service provider on different value chain. So, like anybody that wants to be a service provider on weed management, you cannot be carrying knapsack all if you're a graduate and everything. Team together like 4 of you, buy a self-propelled bone sprayer and work with the farmer to actually help them to spray their farm. It saves cost, it saves time, and you get at least the perfect result when you use a self-propelled or bone sprayer that works for you. That self-propelled, you don't need to have a tractor. You only load this thing and drive it on the farm. It solves the problem once. So the issue of drones, I've tried the drones on the farm. It works well. That's another risk that I've taken. I've taken numbers of risks and everything. The risk I've taken on converting a normal way of frying gari to automated fryer. I spent a lot of millions to make sure that we transform from the way of making gari to the modern way of making gari, which way you can automate gari system. Those are risks. I've taken risks for actually commercializing the odorless fufu, which people are not used to in the past. Develop the machine, produce the fufu, and take it to the market. And now, a lot of people now want to eat fufu without odor. So those are all those risks that I've taken in different ways. So I've taken a lot of risks. Setting up a training school on the farm is a lot of risk. Setting up a modular system of cassava starch is a risk. I designed it, I went to it, I did it, and it came out to one. It's a risk. The cassava flour modular size, which nobody have been able to do, I've done it. It's a risk. It works now. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to work on how I can automate the fufu line from beginning to end. All those things are risks. I keep on taking risks every day, but I take a calculated risk. So thank you.
Yeah, so as you are taking risk, I would say you should risk responsibly. The food prices is actually on the high side, and what informed pricing or regulation can for businesses.
And normally, the reason why food prices are going up is demand. It's a simple thing. When you see people asking for a particular product and you have a limited amount of product, so you want to maximize your own profit too because you don't know what the market will say. So you keep on increasing the market. You believe that this is the time for you to make it. Or maybe 10 of you are selling the product and it's only 2 of you that are having the product. So what you can do now is to audit and to look at and to release it bit by bit and to put in money on it. So it's a business strategy that people need to use to make sure that, but that's why the governments need to, I've been saying it, the government need to invest in farming the way they invest on the other infrastructure like roads, like bridges, like electricity. They need to do serious investment in farming. Farming is an unusual business. Farming is a business that if you are not passionate about it, nobody is ready to do it. And for government to make or to enable people or to actually seek for a way of making people go into farming, they need to do a kind of serious intervention to make sure that people go into farming. The only solution to our problem is for more people to do farming, is for government to do more land development, more land clearing, is for government to invest more heavily into farming equipment, farming implement, all those things. The people, we started bringing tractors into the country, but we noticed that the custom officers and the ports are actually making it difficult for us. So I have to drop it to a certain stage. And when you have your own dollar you want to actually export again, it's a big problem. So all those things are contributing to it. Some of us that believe in agriculture, we are doing it. For us to actually using our dollar to import, it's a problem. You can't send dollar to even buy, if it's a part of your tractor, you can't send dollar to buy it. And they will be asking you to go and be bringing X, Y, Z, which the sellers or the manufacturer will not. So you have to leave everything undone because the system is not supporting what we are doing on the farm. The system is not supporting. They make life difficult for some of us that take farming as a career. So that's why we are downsizing our system, we are downsizing whatever we are doing, and that's why we are facing the food crisis we are facing now. Apart from even for the food insecurity, the insecurity we are facing on the farm with others and all those things. We are downsizing ourselves because farming is not interesting again. They make it miserable for you, even from the port, even from the bank, and apart from even some of the problems we are getting from the farm. And the youth are not ready to work. We set up a training school to train the youth to work, to train the youth before you can absorb them. So it's a lot of problem we are facing on the farm as a farmer.
That's a whole lot of information as regards that. Do you practice precision farming on your farm? And okay, I think the person wants to know more about precision farming.
Well, precision farming is good, but you cannot have a small farm and say you want to do precision farming. So you want to do precision farming, you have to have a large farm. So where you demarcate it to different aspects so that your precision will be able to cover more. You can't say you have only 1 hectare, you are practicing precision farming. So it's not going to work. So because 1 hectare, before you do all those parameters and everything, what are you bringing on it? The return on investment, does it justify it? So precision farming is that when you have like a large expanse of farms, then you can do precision farming. Like our farm, we plot our farm into different sizes, so and we make sure that we do precision farming, so on the farm, so which is very important. So, thank you.
How can we sort out issues with yam export from Nigeria? Presently, Ghana is the only closed country that exports yam.
Yes, that's another good question. How can we sort out the issue of yam export from Nigeria? Yes, for you to export yam, right from when you are clearing land, you must know that I'm clearing this land because I want to plant yam for export. You don't just buy yam in the market and say you want to export. No, you clear land. The way you clear land for export, for yam export is different. The way you prepare land for yam export is different. The way you plant for yam export is different. The yam seed, the mini seed you plant is quite different, and the way you plant it is different. When you're harvesting, you harvest with care on the farm, and the way you package it on the farm is different. But Nigeria will only say there's an opportunity for yam to be exported, and they just go to the market, buy yam and package and send it. It won't go. So Ghana organized a system. Just a few people organize a system in Ghana to make sure that this yam is going to US, this yam is going to UK. And they organize themselves together. So they work with the farmers. Right when the farmers are planting the farm, they know that this farm is going to UK, this farm is going to US. These are the things what the US need. These are the chemical you should not use. These are the herbicide you should not use because this farm is going to XYZ. So there's a traceability for everything Ghana does. And that's why you say Ghana don't have problem. Even when you go to Togo, there's a traceability for what Togo does because they know from which farm they are doing it. But Nigerians, People just believe that they can buy everything and ship it. Even the palm oil, the Nigeria palm oil is a problem in the other for exporting. I was in US, I was in UK. I saw a lot of palm oil from Nigeria. It's adulterated. So you have some that are doing well, but you have some that when they are preparing their palm this thing, they didn't do it for export. They do it for local consumption that would consume under 1 or 2 months. But something that will stay for almost 6 months, it starts to congeal. The amount of water they need to remove, they didn't remove it. The clarification they need to do to make sure that they remove enough water from it, they didn't do it. So for you to be able to export yam, you must follow the normal procedure on how to grow yam for export. You cannot just grow yam and say you want to export yam. The size of yam tuber you are planting for export is different. So when you are exporting yam, it's between 1 kg and 2 kg. That's the size, the yam size you want to export. So a lot of things need knowledge. That's why I would say you need to make an informed start. You cannot just say you want to export and you just buy and ship. No. And that's what Nigerian does. That's why we need to stop. And that's why the government need to actually come in and see on how to support the system.
Okay. Are there agencies in Nigeria that this person can actually maybe visit to get the specifications and all that to be able to export yam to Europe and US? Like maybe an agency or a regulatory body in Nigeria that...
I think some of the people that are supposed to do all those things, I think they are limited. And they prove as if they know. So some of them are limited. So I don't see any agencies that you need to. Maybe if you want to do it, you go to Ghana and understudy, if they will allow you to understudy their own method. But if you want to know it, we can teach you on how to do it if you really want to do it. But firstly, what you need to do is to know the number of farmers you want to work with. And the farmer will necessarily work with you because you want to export. So you know the farm traceability. You know the farm that grows the yam. You know the time they grow the yam. You know the time they harvest the yam. And you know the time you harvest. And you know the size of yam tuber, yam seed they are planting. So it won't be overgrown and it won't be too big and it won't be too small. So those are all those things. We can give you info on how to do it if you really want to do it. But for the body that does that, maybe if you Google, you can see them. But me, I don't see anyone. But if you have a body, you're supposed to have gotten it right. So I don't...
Okay. Someone is asking, could we achieve Ghana model here in Nigeria?
Yes.
By adopting a private investors approach?
Yes, we can achieve it. We can even achieve more better than what they are doing because we've seen what they are doing. We'll do our own, we add to it, and we'll make it better. Then the variety of yam you export is different from this current variety of yam they are growing in Nigeria. You have a particular yam that is meant for export. If you go to Nigerian market, you cannot buy the yam of your choice. You can't buy the yam of your choice. If you go to farm today, the market today, you buy white. If you go tomorrow, you buy yellow. If you go next tomorrow, you buy brown. So what are the regulatory bodies are doing to make sure that you plant the yam that is really called this yam? So those are all those things we need to put into practice if we want to raise the young farmers.
Wow. Someone says, okay, a question. Rumor has it that Nigerian yam goes to US and UK from Ghana. Does it mean that there are other issues apart from quality?
Ghana yam does not go to Ghana through... The only yam from Nigeria that goes to Ghana is the one that is close to the border. And those that are close to the border, they adopt Ghana system to plant, not Ghana yam. Yam cannot leave Benue. Yam that when you harvest from the farm, you put it down, you load it. You see, loading and offloading of the yam destroy yam because yam is very perishable. So, and it's very fragile. So you cannot just be loading yam from the farm, you put it down, you load from a long truck, that the truck on the bad road will be making different sand and different bushes. So the people along the Nigerian border can actually grow yam for the people in Ghana to buy from because they buy that one, they take it to Ghana directly and they follow the Ghana procedure to grow yam. So that is possible along the Nigerian border. So that one's possible. But from Benue, from all those things, no, you can't go.
Okay, so that's that. Okay. We have a question. How can Nigerian government and private sector support the adoption of innovative farming in rural areas? Because I think rural community are actually the ones producing, going into agriculture and all that, doing more of agriculture. So how can the government sector and private sector?
I think I've said it enough that the government need to invest the way they invest on the other infrastructure in farming for us to get it right. After getting it right, and they can now say they want to back up. But for now, I see a lot of people from abroad that they have the farm, they are spending a lot of money to support the system here. But the people that are working for them have a different mindset. So changing of even the people in the village mindset is very important. Increasing the active period on the farm and the lifestyle on the farm on the village is very important. So those are all those things we need to work on. So government really need to come into, if truly they really want to solve the problem of this food security and they really want to export some of our food products, is a thing that they really need to. We have a lot of bush undeveloped. We have a lot of them to do a lot of land development. We have a lot of, they don't have any implement for, how many number of good tractors are actually around for people to use now. We have tractors, but they are old. They are old tractors, and they can only have limited this thing. And some of the parts we're supposed to use in fixing them, the part, the problem, the dollar problem, they is not even allowed to buy the part to refurbish or to make them to standard. I know the number of tractors on my farm that I want to buy common parts, I can't buy because no dollar. When you have the dollar, the system, they don't even allow you to fix. How much do you want to get? You pack it down because you have other things that brings in money for you, that are spending all your fortune on the tractor, with the system not supporting. And for me to buy another new tractor of almost 40 million, where will I make the profit back? So for government to work with the villagers and the youth on the farm is very feasible. So they need to take it as a business and they need to support them. So in that case, the problem will solve.
Oh, someone is asking another question that how can the government help to reduce bottlenecks at the port for export? Sometimes it is not the issue with products, but issues at the port.
It's a simple thing. To me, I've told you I've stopped anything importing, exporting if not necessary. I've stopped it because we realize that most of the people in the ports, they are not there to work, they are there to make money. So, and when you take anything to port, they create a bottleneck for you. I visited Togo. For you to export product in Togo, it takes 24 hours. Your product will go. For you to clear your goods in Togo, it takes between 24 to 48 hours. Your goods will come out. But for you in Nigeria, when your products get to the port, it's as if when someone is in the prison, that you don't know when the person will come out. They create a lot of different bottlenecks that we don't need. A lot of standard we don't have, they say we have it, and it won't work. So they don't make a bottleneck in a way that the bottleneck. So if the government wants to do it, they should do it like other countries that we've done all those formality on raising for money or raising all those papers. So when your good is coming, you know amount of money to pay. You pay it. Some of other countries, they don't even have agents to clear for them. You pay your money, the driver go to the port, just load and come out from the port. Simple. You don't have all those bottlenecks they make. Do you really, the number of people working on the port, we don't need them. The number of custom officers on the port, we don't need them. The number of NDLA, the number of police on the port, the number of quarantine on the port, we don't need them. I was in US, I visited the Miami port, one of the busiest ports in the world. You can hardly see people working on the port. You only see system working. The government, if they want to get it right, they can go to Miami port is there. They liaise with American government, we send their people for trading. How many people are working inside the ports? And if you know the number of containers they offload on daily basis and the way they offload, they go. You don't see any congestion, you don't see anything on the port, you don't see any bottleneck on the port. They can emulate other countries that are working well. Why is it that it's only Nigeria that we are major and minor? Any little minor thing that will make it big. So it's possible for government to do it if they really want to do it. The people that are on the port, we don't need them. We don't need the number of people on the port. We don't need money to be exchanging. Pay all your money at once and clear your goods. I know the number of days my goods stays in the port. It's not because I don't have the money to clear it, but because of the bottlenecks they clear. At times, your goods is still almost 2 months in the port, and you have your money. they create one bottleneck to the other. Everybody in the port is so important to themselves, and they are not relevant to the system. So the government needs to make it that if they really want to work on the port, they know what to do on the port. All those number of people in the port, we don't need them. They are creating bottleneck, and the bottleneck in the port is part of what is causing inflation in the system. Because there's a day I brought a tractor in, supposed to be duty free. They say it's 5%, I pay 5%. After I pay 5% again, they turn it up to say no, it's 35%. So I have to pay 35% on four. I bought 4 tractor. I think I still have the document. I have to pay 35% on the tractor then, before the tractor can come out. And I was paying demurrage, another thing. Another thing on the port is that the roads are not good to transport your container back. If you load a product from the port and take it out, if the container did not come back, not because of you, they debit your account that you didn't return. At times you can have up to almost 10 million on a 1 or 2 container. That is on your own. You've taken your product. They don't have any system that works to know that the kind of people that register in the port are legit people that when they load on them, we hold them accountable. We are holding the people that actually buy the product that does not have anything to it to come and be paying a lot of money for the port authorities and for the people who are operating it. So a lot of systems in the port that cannot make Nigeria to grow. Port is number one. If they don't work on Nigerian port, we cannot grow. So port is giving us a lot of problem. Port is part of what is causing the inflation in Nigeria. So the government needs to look at it and work on the port to make sure that all the equipment you are bringing for farming, for everything, make it easy. And the kind of herbicide we are using in Nigeria now, they are not even effective. Who is regulating them? Who is looking at some of the herbicides, some of the insecticides we are using on the farm? Where you're supposed to use one, you are using 2. And they are not effective. Who is looking at that? Some of the seed we are planting in the farm are not viable. Who is looking at it? Nobody is regulating it. If they can't do it, they should look at the seed company anywhere in the world that can get value for money on the seed we are doing to make sure that we plant a good seed. So those are all those issues that we're having that if they don't solve it and you just keep some people in the office that they should be making laws and everything for us, that's why we're having problems. If we're getting it right, we're supposed to come out of this problem we're having, but we are not getting it right. That's why we are seriously in the problem.
That's a whole lot. And from these explanations, there's a need for the Nigerian government to actually, look into the ports that are working, like the Miami ports. Look at how they can actually reduce human interaction and actually automate the system for better efficiency. So we have a question. This one is from a young, I think it's a young graduate from school. Said, as an experienced agricultural expert, what advice will you give to a young entrepreneur looking to enter the agri-tech space to drive innovation in Nigerian agricultural sector?
Well, you need to, I've been telling them, for you to enter into agri-space, you either need to volunteer or you need to look for mentor to mentor you on what you want to do. As a young graduate coming from the school, you don't have anything in your head for now. You only have ideas. So you only have ideas. And if you have ideas, you don't actually practice it somewhere to make sure that whether your idea is viable or not viable. So idea cannot drive you to that level. So you need to look for how to volunteer to make sure that you get someone to actually tutor you to make sure that you get it to the next level so that you'll be able to engage. It's good that you are passionate about it and you get. So look for someone that you can actually work with, not for money, because you want to achieve knowledge and you want to practice what you know best. So I think that's the way to go.
If you are interested in the training, you can send your name, your country of residence, the course that you are interested in, or what specific thing you are interested in learning. You can send it to your information to info@nijigroup.com. So you can send your information to info@nijigroup.com and you get a response as soon as possible. So we are actually rounding up on the second edition of the Breakfast with Niji show. So this will be the end of today's show, the Breakfast with Niji. I am Adiola Olajide. Thank you for watching, thank you for participating, and thank you for engaging in the program. Farmer Niji, do you have a goodbye note for the audience?
Well, it's one of the things that we've been doing. What we are doing is to contribute the little to support the system by informing people and by supporting people with all what we can. It's not about the money, it's about us getting it right in Nigeria and Africa. That's what I'm passionate about. So how best can we get it right? How best can we use our first 11 to drive everything we are doing in Nigeria? Because when you look at the Nigeria system, we are not using the first 11, we are not using the second 11, we are not even using the third 11. So who are the people we are using? And the first 11 are sitting on the couch watching, and you want us to perform. We can't perform. We can't, because the first 11 are not even feasible at all. So the government needs to go and look for the first 11 in every aspect of economy development, in every aspect of what they are trying to do to make sure that it works. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.